I'm Ed Ra, the ranking minority member on the Education Committee. Great to see so many of you here, and obviously to have so many of our colleagues here this morning. We're here this morning to unveil a report that was compiled based upon 11 forums held throughout New York State on Common Core, the implementation, the agenda of school reform throughout the state. And we heard hours and hours of testimony from hundreds of parents, teachers, educators about their concerns. This report is a reflection of a lot of that information and some recommendations moving forward. Many of my colleagues behind me, were kind enough to invite me and Al Graff, who is a member of the Education Committee, into their districts to hear their constituents' concerns. And really, the parents of this state were speaking with one voice as they expressed their serious concerns with what was going on in the school system. Moving on to our conclusions and recommendations, and Al is the perfect segue to that because, as many people here I'm sure know, Al introduced a bill last June, A7994, that would withdraw New York State from the Common Core and Race to the Top programs and really pull back from some of the federal mandates and the mandates that therefore come through the state as a result of our participation in that program. And Al, at I think each of our forums, in his introductory remarks, said he did that to start a conversation. And there's no question that we did that. And we have that certainly listed as one of our options in this report, in our recommendations. But we also have something that we've been working very hard on, and that's the APPLE plan. And that stands for Achieving Pupil Preparedness and Launching Excellence. And we believe this is a comprehensive plan to address really not just the issues with Common Core, but there's things in there that we think are important just to education as a whole. And I just want to quickly touch on some of those bullet points. The number one part of it is really putting the brakes on what we're doing right now, so that we give ourselves an opportunity to pull back and really evaluate where we're going with the curriculum mandates, where we're going with the state assessments, so that we don't put our students through any more unnecessary high-stakes tests that's really hurting the morale of our students and our teachers in our classrooms. The second part of it is about a lot of the funding and the mandates. We feel that restoring the gap elimination adjustment is one of the best things we can do for education, and we'd like to see a definitive time period for restoring that funding to our schools, and also to step to the plate as a state and provide funding for mandates like APPR, Common Core, the PARCC assessments that are coming that are going to require a lot of technology upgrades in our districts. One of the most important parts of it, teacher preparedness and involvement. One of the biggest issues we've had in this rollout, and it's been extremely uneven throughout New York State. Some districts had the resources to bring their teachers in and really do this the right way, take a set of standards and have them develop a localized curriculum. Many districts in the current tax cap world, in the tough economic climate, didn't have the resources to do that. We need to provide the resources so that the teachers, the people in the classrooms, the administrators like Mr. Farley here can look at their curriculum standards and develop something that's appropriate for their district. The student data component, very important. Parents throughout the state are concerned with where their data is going. We need to look no further, than recent news like the whole thing that happened in the holiday season at Target. Technology is great, but as data gets uploaded places, safety becomes a huge concern, and parents deserve the right to control the use of their children's data, whether it's shared with third parties, and we want to make sure they have the opportunity to consent in writing to that data being shared or say, no, I don't want my child's data being shared with third parties. Equity for special education students. We heard from many, not just special education parents, but from students directly about what the Common Core rollout in New York State has done to them, because it really doesn't accommodate the needs of special education students. It almost, in many circumstances, is trumping their IEP. And the onus is falling on parents sometimes to say how much homework is enough for my special education student, and it shouldn't be that way. The IEP should be the supreme document for those students controlling their learning. Something that many of my colleagues had when they were in school is increased BOCES participation, having those technical avenues for people, for career readiness, to train them in different trades and things of that nature. We think that's a vital component to our educational system that's been lacking, and I think by trying to fund that independently of the schools, we can make that more of a resource to our local districts rather than something that can be seen as a drain on the local budgets. And lastly, reform at the state education department and the regions. There's a lot of power to impose new mandates and things of that nature coming from that agency and coming from the regions. And we think that it's appropriate, A, that there's some more control over the education department, and B, that if the regions imposes a new mandate that's going to have a significant cost effect on our local districts, that they have to really detail what it's going to cost and come to the legislature for approval before passing on that cost to our local districts. So those are some of the features of our Apple plan. It's in the back of our report, which is available in the back. It's also going to be posted online. And with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.